What's up, everyone? Is Scott here for the first time in 2023. Happy New Year. Hope your New Year's was as rowdy or as quiet as you were wishing. I just wanted to jump on today and try something new out. I watched Liverpool's first match of 2023, and if you can peer into the background, you probably guess it how it went. But yeah, I wanted to share with you my game notes. These are not a figure of speech. These are my actual game notes that I took while watching. So yeah, let me know what you think of them in the comments. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool concept. I like to take notes during the game. So that way you put the thoughts down on the page, and I think all too often that people really get marred by the result. And so I think when you jot down your thoughts as the things are happening, I think that it kind of keeps you honest in a way. So anyway, without further ado, here are my game notes. For Bournemouth versus Liverpool, January 2nd, 2023. The background, Liverpool coming off of their last match of 2022 against Leicester, winning a 2-1 game from two Wout Faes own goals. I believe he was the fifth player in Premier League history to have a multiple own goal game. So that really was even more fortuitous than it even sounds for Liverpool. That was a really poor performance, but we got away with it. Really the only thing that you could say in a positive context is Liverpool sort of exhibiting the champions gene. That's what they always say, that you win the games that you don't deserve to win. So that was the one plus. You don't play well and you still get the 3 points. So that is sort of the context coming into the game. This is our first chance for Gakpo to play, but he wasn't in the match day squad. So that was a little disappointing, but not all that surprising. I mean, Klopp is pretty known for bringing players along pretty slowly. Virgil is captain for today. And I think I've said on the Friends podcast with Fahey and Lee that I'm not really a big fan of Virgil wearing the captain's armband. It could just be small sample size, but honestly, it's been a little bit more than a coincidence. Every time he wears the armband, I don't think Liverpool play well, or I don't think he particularly plays well. But he was the one to get things started in the 4th minute with a chance from a free kick. He's through it on goal, and Raya, the Brentford Spanish goalkeeper, makes a good save. But Virgil really should have scored. And I've really been pretty disappointed in Virgil's finishing this season. Sort of ironic I say that because he scored 2 games ago against Villa. But he really should have had 6 more goals than whatever the amount of goals that he has got for the season. So could have been 1-0, but it remains scoreless. And then in the 8th minute, Salah brings down a ball. Beautiful first touch. Attracts tension towards himself, plays a perfectly timed through ball for his striking partner Darwin, who dribbles past Raya. Opens up some space. The goal is gaping, but he couldn't beat Ben Mee on the goal line. I wrote, let's hope that we don't go behind now, and that goes to bite us. Maybe a bit of foreshadowing there. In the 18th minute, 1-0. To the home team. I write crap. Same BS all season. 1-0. Bournemouth pinball corner. Sorry, but once again, magnifying glass will be on Darwin for wasting a chance. So already, it's been a pattern for Darwin. He didn't have a great World Cup, and he's just been missing a lot of chances. He's been creating a lot, which is good. That's sort of in the Mo Salah column of, I really don't care how many chances you waste as long as you score a goal or 2 a game. Then that seems to be forgotten. But really, Darwin hasn't been having the luck, as Klopp would probably put it, but I think a lot of the fans are judging him more harshly than that. And I think rightly so. Okay, so 1-0 to Brentford coming up to the 23rd minute. And these are just estimates too. I'm jotting these down, so if you go back to the tape, they might not be exact. But here in the 23rd minute, I write that Tsimikas finds a lot of space on the left side, and just like his left back, I shouldn't say partner, but competition, Robbo, his finishing leaves a lot to be desired. He gets a shot off, and it wasn't a bad attempt, but he tries to beat Raya at the near post. That ends up to be the wrong decision. Again, that for the second time, Liverpool should have found, or I'm sorry, that's even the third time that really Liverpool should have scored in this game, only 23 minutes in. Moving forward to the 26th minute, almost 2-0 for Brentford. More pinball in the box. Bournemouth put it in, but the flag is up. No goal. But this is showing an open wound there. This is the second time in the game. Believe that was the second corner and the second goal. Granted, again, it was truly offside, so Liverpool kind of get off there, but I'm just pointing out that we are getting exposed on corner kicks, and that's really at least a symptom of a bad team, is giving up way more on set pieces than you should. You really can't be a great team if you're making silly mistakes like that, and Liverpool's defense has been kind of all over the map all season. And I write here, lastly, on this 26th minute, good teams need to punish getting off the hook, punish teams in where they got off the hook, i.e., if this is a City or Manchester United in the early 2000s, they may have given up and gotten away with one, had an offside flag in their favor, but then they need to go down the other end and really get that equalizer to kind of, chip chop and really get a hold of this match and get some momentum in the favor. What comes next? 38th minute. I write down 3 goals conceded. All right, write down another corner goal. WTF, isn't that 3 corners conceded, 3 goals conceded? I said, and then I wrote, this will come back. It came off Ben Mee, who was way offside. So I think that was Wissa, the stand-in for, and that's the other thing too. Ivan Toney, I should have put this in the background to the match, but he is out. I forget whether he was injured or is caught up in this betting scandal or whatever. But regardless, Brentford don't have their best player. Now, I'm not trying to not knock Brentford. In fact, they're actually probably my second favorite team in the Premier League. They do a lot of things the right way. I think they play pretty, attractive football. But the point is, completely looking through Liverpool's perspective, Brentford really is not a team that should be beating you at this stage in the game. And so it's really, really frustrating to see, I believe, like I said, 3 corners conceded and 3 goals. I mean, granted, 2 of them came back for offside, but it really goes to show that the defending has been way off. Okay, I think I made my point there. 41st minute. Actually 2-0. Wissa, who, as I just said, got called off in the 38th minute, just 2 minutes prior or so. He actually, and I said he always scores against us. And I said this actually feels like a 4-0 battering because, again, despite those goals being chalked off, you really just felt like Brentford was taking it to us. And Liverpool fans really, I don't think there's any two ways of looking at it. Liverpool fans, we all must have been livid heading into the halftime break, where I write pretty much how I was feeling right there. Okay, moving on to the second half, where I believe Klopp really handed it to the Liverpool away dressing room. And he made 3 halftime substitutions for Klopp. That's quite a statement regardless of the manager, but particularly Klopp, who's a loyal guy. He takes off his captain, Virgil, Harvey and Tsimikas too. Robertson, Naby, and Matip all came on, and Robertson actually took the armband, which I wrote down good choice. And I wrote down, the first impression given following halftime. It clearly worked. All the yelling clearly worked, I said. They look invigorated or scared of Klopp. They look something. They definitely look like they're in a different frame of mind from what they showed us in the first half. So that at least was a positive point to start the half. 48th minute, Darwin shows some composure finally with a breakaway. A lobbed volley of Raya, a well-taken goal. Definitely shows, I guess the little bit of a silver lining here is that he shows that he has the talent, which of course we know he has, to put that finish away. That was some nice composure, but again, it's just Darwin is a frustrating player at least at this stage in his Liverpool career. And don't get me wrong, I think that he will come off and be a great player for Liverpool, but this is not just an unlucky game or two. I mean, this is really sticking to him that he really is pretty wasteful with chances. I think I said all this already, but it just has to be mentioned that I don't know. I would compare him to like a Sterling. I think that Sterling, and granted, I mean, Raheem Sterling's been around for maybe a decade at this point. I guess not quite a decade, but he's been around for quite a while. That we know how he is, and his career is kind of plateauing. But anyway, my overall point is Sterling is one of those players that he kind of thinks too much. He actually has very good technique, and he's quite a good finisher. Depends what you mean by finisher, but his technique is there and his finishing ability is there, but his composure really isn't. If he has too much time to think, he tends to dwell and miss chances, and I think that's a pretty decent comparison, sadly, for Darwin, at least at this stage. So that goal gets chalked off. 50th minute, 2-1 for real this time. A beauty, I wrote down. Left-footed in-swinger from Trent. Brought the ball down. Aerial ball from left to right. I think he brought it down on the chest. Kind of looked like he was going to line it up on his right foot, as he does 95% of the time, but he cut inside middle and actually surprisingly comfortably. Not that his left foot, I think, is that awful, but again, you just don't see him crossing with it all that often, and he very competently swung in a beautiful ball for Ox, who found himself some space and got a glanced header. And then I said, let's snatch it. Liverpool getting themselves back into the game, and we've seen Liverpool come back from greater deficits. I think they said actually in the commentary in the Premier League, the last time they came back from a 2-0 deficit in the Premier League was actually 2008 against City. But certainly Liverpool having the deficit was definitely invigorating the Liverpool supporters. Then, that got cut off, but 73rd minute, I wrote down Darwin yellow card. I mean, you notice there's a 23 minutes that elapsed in my game notes. Really not that much was happening. Liverpool kind of let that momentum slip. I was even getting kind of bored with the match. Thiago, again, another very up and down performance. In fact, I wrote my game notes for the Liverpool-Leicester game, which I'll just flip back to. And let me just... I wrote something to the effect of this game really sums Thiago up because... I'm messing this up. Oh well. Sorry about that. I'll just skip it. But anyway, my point was against Leicester and the same against Brentford, I just wrote down something to the effect of, this is who Thiago is. I wish that he was Andres Iniesta because he kind of has those same abilities. Like when on his game, he can be the best player in the Premier League and he can wow you. He can look like David Beckham. He can look like all those legends. And he has the skills to match them, but it's just his consistency, his injury proneness, and sometimes his decision making, and he gets a little bit lazy and he gives the ball away. And so, yeah, it's just you kind of don't know which Thiago is going to show up. My point is not to slag the guy off. I'm not trying to be overly critical, but that just is who he is. And it kind of just goes against, all the love that Thiago gets from Liverpool fans that, they cherish him and all that. It's just, he can be a frustrating player. So anyway, back to my note, 73rd minute, Darwin yellow for complaining. He's a loose cannon. He is who he is in a Rooney-like way, but it's certainly not a positive. He was sent off in his second match. It provides for an undesired wonderment, I wrote. So yeah, you just don't know what's coming next with Darwin, and it could really hurt the team. And let me just kind of harbor on this for a second. You think about the points that Darwin has kind of personally cost us already this season. And again, I'm not trying to heap ill will on him. I like Darwin. I want to root for him, but I think you just have to be honest with where he is in his Liverpool career. And it's very Jekyll and Hyde. He can show glimpses of supreme quality and really exciting player to watch. I think comparing him to Haaland on his day, yes, they're two freakish, very exciting players to watch. And I think that that's valid, but Darwin just, his consistency as well is all over the place. We ended up drawing that game against Palace, so that's 2 points. I think you could pretty easily point the finger at Darwin. And here's a game here, not to spoil it, but Liverpool ended up losing. And guess what? In the 8th minute, we could have been 1-0 up. And also, again, it applies to other players too. Virgil, substituted at halftime. I think that ended up being a thigh injury, but Virgil could have put us ahead as well. But it's just, you have to put the responsibility on your shoulders as a striker to score goals. Unless your name is Roberto Firmino and your main job is not scoring goals as a number 9, it's just, you can't miss chances and then expect not to be criticized. And listen, he's never said anything off the pitch that he's trying to shirk this responsibility, but I just bring it up because it's sort of the elephant in the room, and you have to be honest with where Darwin is in his development, and I'll continue to support him. But it just, and you guys know me watching the channel that I'm usually very rosy with Liverpool, but it's just a very frustrating match today. Moving along, 84th minute, 3-1, game over. I wrote 3-1, Keita, get out of my club. I'm sick of Keita. I'm sick of Ox. Just let's be done with them. Bring in the new players. Yada, yada. He loses the ball. There's a long ball down the field. Ibou. What is this? Weaken the challenge. He's unhappy that a foul wasn't given. A foul could have been given, but come on, you gotta play on. He got out muscled basically by Mbuemo, and Mbuemo, isolated himself, basically created what wasn't a breakaway, then became a breakaway and finished past Alisson. Alisson had a great game again. I can't remember the last time he didn't have a fantastic game. I mean, unfortunately, he's been probably our player of the season. I hate to say this. I hate to say it on record because and it's true. Like, if your goalkeeper is your best player for the season, then you're not a very good team. That's just it. We'll get to more of that later. I use that against United for so long that De Gea was like their best player for like 5 straight seasons. Anyway, I said Konate has a lot of developing to do. There are Liverpool fans out there that hold him up as one of the best young center backs out there. I see with my own eyes potential and vulnerability, but I don't see it yet. I don't know where these Liverpool fans are getting this from, that he is there at this point. And I said he's someone that still needs to earn his spot in this team, which is fine. And again, like similar to Darwin, I'm not trying to criticize the guy. Let's be honest with where he is currently. And I think he showed his inexperience today. And And yeah, I just don't see those like sort of dominant performances that you kind of see across Twitter. Not that I look at it very much, but so yeah, and I say, don't get me wrong, there are minutes for him in the rotation. I'm not saying bench the guy and I don't want to see him play. He's we have a very full schedule of fixtures, so he's going to play. But for me, he's not our first or second center back. So I would start Virgil and Matip above him, and he'll just develop just like Harvey and Carvalho and Curtis Jones. They're all players that really aren't quite there yet. And I didn't have anything in my game notes about Harvey Elliott. I mean, he got substituted at halftime, so that certainly isn't a good thing. Some of my buddies Lee and Shane were really critical of him. I'll be honest, I didn't really see that, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention enough. I'm a huge Harvey fan. It was funny because Lee was the first on the Harvey train, and I think I've sort of overtaken that fandom of Harvey. I'm like his number one fanboy, whereas Lee is sort of put his focuses on Darwin. But I think Harvey is fantastic. Lee was saying that he's really been playing very poorly. He's at like a turnstile defensively. He doesn't press very much. He may not be cut out to be a center mid in the future. And I think that that's overly harsh. I mean, again, I've said in the past that I think Harvey has put in way, way more good performances than bad. At certain parts of the season, he was our best player of the season. He was our best player in the season up until he got injured the season before, which is his debut season, basically. So I'm still very high on the Harvey train, even if he has, a bad game here or there. And maybe this is becoming a little bit more of a pattern that I'm not seeing, a la Darwin, that he's putting in a whole slew of bad performances. But anyway, I think he will be a great center midfielder, a very creative outlet for us. I think I'd be pretty confident in saying that he is more of a center mid than, like a left or right winger. But anyway, is it possible that he doesn't pan out? Sure. Is it possible that Lee's correct that, his future doesn't lie at center mid? Sure. But no one knows any of that currently, including Klopp. And so my response was, this team is just developing. There's going to be growing pains. It sucks. We were at the peak of world football for 2017 to last season. We finished a point off the title. That was almost very close to being a quadruple winning team last year. So it is frustrating, but it is a team in transition. And Darwin's going to be a great player. Harvey is. Gakpo is super exciting. We haven't even seen him yet. So yeah, that basically is segueing, sort of unintentionally into my conclusion. And I say, when things go wrong, you don't tend to see it coming. We're consistently inconsistent, and that's a scary thing. What we need to improve on is confidence and defending corners, and probably defending in general. Here. So this, I think, is a pretty profound point. What makes Klopp great is also what I think is currently being exposed. Klopp's success has been through intensity, teamwork, developing a system that is greater than the sum of its parts. That's what makes you a great manager, right? That you make your players and your team greater than the sum of its parts. And I think that's really what's being exposed right now. So the fact that we are inconsistent is actually showing how great Klopp has been. I've said it before. If you move Salah to Real Madrid or Hendo to Barca or any of these players, and granted, let's even call it at their peak, whatever you want to call it, 2019, 2020, pick and choose. They will not be as effective in those teams because they are built for this Klopp system. And Klopp has been so fantastic, and the transfer committee have been so fantastic in hand selecting these players that have been perfect for the system. And who knows, maybe the system needs to change, and or the players, have gotten older. Obviously, Mane has moved on, and Wijnaldum. Those are huge, crucial Liverpool legends, maybe. And so just inevitably, those things are going to have to change. And sticking to my point that it's inevitable that there are going to be these growing pains with young players, and hopefully all of them pan out. But you don't know. I mean, again, you can't be perfect forever in the transfer world. And sure, there are people out there that want Liverpool to splash the cash and get their net spend up. This isn't even a conversation about that. But the overall point is these players are going to need time to grow as individual players, and they're going to need time to adapt to England, the country, England, the Premier League, the system, teamwork, bonding. And so all of this might sound, like wishy-washy, but I fully believe that greater than the sum of its parts is sort of coming apart at the seams a little bit, not necessarily for anyone's fault, but just because the personnel is changing. Again, fresh faces. Hendo had a terrible game against Leicester. So, who knows who's getting up there in age and whatnot. And surely there'll be more players coming in. But the point is, just have patience. Today was an extremely frustrating game. I was frustrated myself. But keep the faith. Again, also just expect to see these inconsistencies. It's going to take time for this team. But ultimately, if you want me to make a prediction, I do think that this Liverpool team will finish top 4. Certainly not if we put in more performances like we did today, but almost look at this Liverpool team like a sleeping giant, which is almost a little tongue-in-cheek to say, because certainly what I'm getting at is Liverpool have immense quality. Thiago, Darwin, Salah, even if he's, in a funk or whatever, these are still fantastic players. Trent, Virgil, Fabinho, these are fantastic players that some of them having the worst seasons of their career. And not because that they're washed. People always want to say that if you're like 29 years old or over. But we're talking about Trent and we're talking about Fabinho. These are young guys. They're not washed. And anyway, my point is I think, if you log into FIFA, some of their stats might be down, but this Liverpool team have enough quality, and Klopp is a good enough manager that even if players are underperforming, I still think that Liverpool will finish in the top 4, secure Champions League for next season. At this stage, I don't know who will be joining them in the top 4. I mean, certainly City, and you would think Arsenal. I don't think that's again, Arsenal probably will be there in the top 4, but you've seen it before. They slide down and, they come apart in March, so we'll see on that. Tottenham certainly aren't playing well currently. United have always been this Jekyll and Hyde, this scary inconsistency that I've been referring to, and I think finally they might be coming out of it, so they may be ones to watch. Chelsea are, might be striking from distance, whatever. So there's all these players, of course, Newcastle are there currently. So, but anyway, none of those teams scare me from Liverpool's perspective. What scares me the most about Liverpool is Liverpool. But I think Klopp will figure it out. And anyway, those are my game notes. I hope you've enjoyed them. Let me know any thoughts you have on any of my thoughts individually, the format of this. Please comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And hopefully we can get a live stream going again soon. I do enjoy those and kind of having some live accompaniment while watching some of the matches. But anyway, Liverpool are in 6th place. Something like 6 points off 4th, where United are. And anyway, that about does it. I am Scott with Beaty's Beat, and I hope you have a lovely evening. Thank you for tuning in.